Well, good afternoon, fans. Toyman Rick here, and I wanted to, before we all go back to school, right? Comment when you're going back to school, okay? I know ours started today here in Lake Zurich, Illinois, and the surrounding areas. Some are in, some are out, but it's a great time to discuss science, nature, froggies, and what is a biosphere. So I thought I would take a little time today to go through it. These African dwarf frogs have been around a while. They live in the wild for about 3 years, and they're kind of a quiet and a feeder animal for others because they're so mild. That's why they only live 3 years. So in our biosphere, or condos as I call them, they'll last 6 to 10 years. How about that? So if you're lucky enough to be an African dwarf frog in the US with Froggy's lair, you got a nice life. But anyway, what is a biosphere? It's a self-contained environment that aquatic animals can live in. And there's 2 little froggies in this one, but I want to describe how it's made and why a biosphere can actually teach you about science, STEM, and nature in an easy way. The first thing that the biosphere has is a layer of sand at the bottom. Now this sand has been injected with 2 bacteria because when the froggies have to poop, that will go and fall to the bottom of the biosphere, and the sand that'll turn into ammonia, and that's not good. But the sand is injected so that it can turn the ammonia into nitrates, and then the nitrates can rise, and the second sand bacteria helps turn that into nitrates, which the plants can absorb. And this is Sagittarius grass, and that then is what they feed off of and eat, and the cycle then continues throughout this process of what's called the nitrogen cycle. Okay, I'm sure you're going to learn about that in school. So the nitrogen cycle, and this helps teach that. Now, besides the sand, you see the decorative rocks. They're just for show. Okay, I like the new one. This is a glow-in-the-dark one. That's just new that Froggy Lair has come out with. And then you add the bamboo or the Sagittarius grass, which, did you know, Sagittarius grass can live in water, so it doesn't even need to be attached to anything. You can just throw it in there. But we've put the roots into the sand, and the rocks more or less help 2 things: prop up the Sagittarius grass, but also when the frogs like to play or hide, it's a good little place for them to go. All right. Then we use distilled water because any chlorine or additives that humans need, animals don't like that. Okay, froggies don't like that. And we will use distilled or spring water, and you want to fill the tank to about 1 inch from the top because they still need to breathe. So they're breathing animals. You see him coming up to the top, and you need that little air. There is an air hole at the top, as well as a feeding little drop for their pellets. We'll get to that in a minute. But you fill this up, and then you have the lid that will go on. But I thought it would be fun for me to add 2 frogs, and then I'll fill this up a little bit more later. Okay, should we put the frogs in? Huh? Should we put the froggies in? And by the way, one of my favorite things to do is to adopt them. Froggy 1 and Froggy 2. And we have our mascots here at Learning Express Toys, and I don't think Pete and Repeat are good names. That's what I suggested, and the team said no. No. You know, Pete and Repeat were sitting on a fence. Pete fell off. Who was left? Repeat? Pete and Repeat. You get it. Okay, so let me show you that the Froggies came this morning. Okay, and they come first class overnight, and there's a whole bunch in here. A little tough to see, but I'm going to get scoop 2 out and put my hand over it so they don't jump out, and then let me move this over. I can feel them jumping at me. See that? I love them. Here we go. Turn it over. Put them in. There they go. And these other ones, I'll finish their condos a little bit later. And there you have the 2 newest members of our condo community. And then, as I said, I'll raise the water level to within about 1 inch of the top. And then look at that. They have so much fun, and they can wait around. If I turn the light out, you'd see the glow in the dark aspect. And then the lid goes on. The base is just to hold them. And there you have a self-contained biosphere that uses the nitrogen cycle. So I bet if you took a test, you would ace it. Okay? And we generally feed our froggies twice a week, 2 pellets each, because frogs, at least the dwarf frogs, are more grazers. They eat off the bottom when they're hungry. Only when they're hungry, so they don't overeat. Sometimes one eats more than the other and gets feisty with the other, and that's because they might think it's food because their eyesight is not that great. Again, they're grazers off the bottom, so we feed them at the bottom. And that food just degrades into the biosphere as well if they don't eat it all. Now you're wondering, males or females? Well, you can operate with both. The females have bigger, wider legs. Okay, I always say hips, bigger hips, no offense, ladies. And the slightly smaller, but the hips are what gives it away. And the males are a little bit larger. But if they would try to mate, again, the bacteria in the sand is meant to really not let any eggs develop, so you don't get breeding within the biosphere as well. It's, again, self-contained, well thought out, so that you can keep and adopt these pets for years. Now, many kids can't have a real live pet like a dog or a cat because of, you know, allergies, asthmas, whatever, and including some older folks and people in their office. They may not want a you know, a very active type pet or thing that needs a lot of attention. So these biospheres are really good for older folks, kids with allergies, and also you know, mom or dad's office, because they can name them, and it just gives you a calming aspect as you look at that. The only thing you have to do is take a little of the water out every couple months, maybe replace it, fill it back up, but it's pretty clean because, again, no algae develops like you see in the summertime out on a lake or something, because there's just not enough of the nitrogen cycle working. That's why the algae develops, and also movement of the water. Okay, so I hope that has helped. Our new froggies are getting used to their container here floating around. I'll have to definitely give them, there, pop your head up, show everybody. Don't be bashful. Here you go. Here he goes. They like to see you. And again, these are at Learning Express Toys, but when I met Rip Walter a couple weeks ago, I said, I think it's time that we actually try to help kids and parents understand science a little bit more. Books are great, kits are great, but when you do it live and also have responsibility, I believe you can teach so much more. So I said, let's give it a try. We'll see how it goes. I liked Rip's concept of teaching and education. Now, you have some people that say containers too small, frogs, all of that. I get it. Maybe not be for everybody, but I have done the research and I truly believe this is great as a teaching tool. The froggies love it. There's a lot of responsibility taught, and frankly, they live a much better life than in the wild. And so we can do all at once and really teach about climate change and science all at once. So teachers, preschools, anywhere else, this could be a great project for you to consider adding to the classroom, so you can get some live teaching, responsibility, and have the kids feed them, take turns during the week. And it is a great, I think, item that we have found and has fastly become one of our best sellers. So thank you, everybody. Really appreciate your time today. I don't go live very often, but this has been fun, and I hope you learned a little bit about biospheres, the nitrogen cycle, and also how we all can benefit by looking at nature, understanding it, and applying it in our lives. So, as you go back to school, have a great year, everybody. We'll be here for you to help with birthdays and toys that teach and anything else that you need. But I want to thank the TikTok community for sticking with us, almost 100,000 of you now. And for an old toy man, that's pretty awesome. So thank you, everybody. Again, have a great day. I'm going to try to figure out how to turn this off because frankly, I don't know how. I know how to turn it on, but not off. Okay? So thank you again, everybody.